Today, Crystal's here to share, and she's not remarkable because of what happened to her. She is remarkable because of who she is and how she is in the world. She was homeless the majority of her life, living in and out of hotels, as she calls them. And her parents tried to keep her housed in those, and her family of 11. She lived off and on with her family and in and out of others' homes. Crystal's parents strived to keep a roof over their heads, but with only her mom working, they did what they could to survive. After moving out and living on the streets and couch surfing for a few years, Crystal moved into Hearts with a Mission when she was 16. She started back to school as a junior with only 3 credits in high school. She graduated early. Now, 4 years later, she's amazing. She's an employee at Hearts with a Mission. She's in her 2nd year studying psychology at Pacific Bible College. And her goal is to one day have a degree in art therapy and to, of course, work with children and teens who've experienced trauma. Please join me in welcoming Crystal.
Thank you. Everything that she said is true. I actually didn't write anything. I just have the second copy of that book. So I don't know where to start, but usually when I start to share my story, I start from as young as I can remember. When I was really young, I was homeless with my family. Part of living with my family and being homeless meant we were living in other people's homes, sleeping on hide-a-beds, futons, whatever. And when you have a very large family, it's very hard to feed every single person, make sure that you have the power on, make sure that everything is up to date and things. And we traveled across the country 4 or 5 times, and so we never stayed in one place very long. I actually remember the shortest I've ever lived in a house was 2 weeks, and the longest I ever lived in a house was 9 months. And that being said, I only went to school for the total of like 6 years in my entire lifetime. However, I was able to skip 4 grades. I passed through everything because I read a lot when you travel. And I kind of just dropped out by the time I was in 9th grade. We were homeless and living in a hotel, and it was probably the worst hotel in Medford. I can honestly tell you that. It was very gross. There was all kinds of crazy things going on there at all times. And so I decided to leave. And part of me leaving was making sure my family didn't know where I was. Thought it would be easier for my parents if they had one less mouth to feed, and so I left. That being said, I moved to Portland by myself as a 14-year-old. And was living in Portland alone for a little while, and then DHS caught on. So, but it wasn't on me, it was not on my family, it was on the people that I was living with in Portland at the time. And so I moved back here to get away from that. And I lived on the streets. My aunt, I specifically remember, she dropped me off at Taco Bell downtown Medford, over here actually. And I was like, this is my life now. So I lived on the streets for 2 years. I got myself in a lot of trouble, not with the police or anything, but I got into many things. And then I went on living on the streets, and it wasn't until I was an 11th grader, I was already dropped out for 9th and 10th grade, I didn't go. And when I was 11th grader, I went to school to enroll, and they told me, you're unaccompanied homeless youth, you can't enroll. So I said, how else am I going to go to school? Like, I wanted to go to school, and they told me that I need to find a parent. And so I went to the Maslow Project, and somebody went and enrolled me. And a few weeks later, after the school caught on to the fact that I was sleeping outside and behind banks downtown and here at Hawthorne, right across the street, they called Hearts with a Mission. And so what Hearts with a Mission did is they came down and interviewed me. Not really an interview, they just asked me like what I wanted out of the program. And so I talked to them for like 2 hours, so I talked a lot. And they told me I can come down that day. So I actually remember that day very specifically. It was September 16, 2014. I was 16 years old, and that was the day I had to dedicate myself to getting clean and sober, to going back to school and staying in school permanently, and to kind of restarting my life. And so I lived at Hearts with a Mission for a total of a year and a half. In that time, my first year there, they tutored me, helped me with homework, helped me get doctor's appointments. I made 8 credits that first year, which was very difficult. During the summertime, I was funded by Maslow Project, the church, and Hearts with a Mission to go to Africa and teach art. I also had an art show and sold most of my artwork for the plane ticket. And so that went on, and the trip to Africa got me 4 credits for my high school. And then I started back my senior year, and I remember thinking, if I don't graduate by my birthday, I'm not going to graduate. And I was born in March, so I didn't have very much time. September to March is not a lot of time to get 12 credits, but I managed it. I got 12.75 credits, and for the very first time in my life, I was so stable with Hearts with a Mission. I had a family there. We prayed at dinner. I had people sitting with me and being with me all the time, asking me how my day was at school. And I went to school for a year and a half. Like, my entire life, I never went to school consistently. So that was a huge thing. And so I moved out February 15th in 2016. And February 15th, I moved into a safe family. That safe family happened to be the staff member who opened the door for me when I moved in. And so I moved in with her. A month after I moved out, a week after my 18th birthday, I graduated. And a week later, I got a phone call from my school telling me I was a valedictorian. So after I got that call, I was like crazy, like, what the heck, there's no way. It's like, you have the wrong person. But I apparently wasn't the wrong person. I also found out that I had won multiple awards with different places, won different scholarships. I got admitted into SOU, and everything just fell into place. And all it took was for me to be stable, for me to have a family, for somebody to care about me for once. And so I moved out of my safe family, went to college. Unfortunately, SOU was not the place for me. It was too many people. And so I actually moved. I left SOU, started volunteering at Hearts with a Mission, and somebody came up to me and said, hey, there's a job opening. And I said, that is my dream, to work there, to be with those kids, to be the person that I needed. And so I applied, and I didn't think I was going to get it. 2 weeks later, my supervisor walked to me, and she says, so we're going to start you at this amount on this day. And I was like, so does that mean that I have to go? She's like, wait, let me rewind. And she like backs up, literally walks out the door, comes back, and she goes, you got the job. So I started the next day, and I was working full-time, even though I was hired for a part-time position as a receptionist. I was working full-time at the shelter as a life coach. And I did that for a few months, and now I'm in school again. I started school again last year. And so usually when I'm in school, I just kind of stick to the receptionist and fill in as a life coach. It's easier that way. And so now I'm second year in psychology. And like it says, I'm going to hopefully finish my degree to become an art therapist. So.